Welcome to the Algebra I podcast. I am Miss Clifton, and in today's episode, we are going to see how to write a quadratic equation from a graph. Stay tuned so I can show you. Here is today's question. Which function is best represented by the graph of h? And we are given a graph of a quadratic function with multiple choices with quadratic equations. What do we need to know? So here we have an example. We have a quadratic function and we need to find this equation. How can we corroborate? We're going to start by finding the zeros. The zeros are the x-intercept, which in this case will be negative 8, 0 and negative 4, 0. So my first zero is x equals negative 8, which is what they're telling me right here. So what I'm going to do to end up with the equation is first make this expression equal to 0. What do I mean by that? I want 0 on this side. How would I accomplish that? By adding 8 on both sides. Negative 8 plus 8, 0. But on this side, I have an x plus 8. Why did I do that? Because this tells me that x plus 8 will be my first factor. Then I'm going to do exactly the same with my second one. X equals negative 4. That's my second x-intercept. So I'm going to make this equal to 0. In this case, how do I make negative 4 equal to 0? By adding 4 on both sides. Negative 4 plus 4, 0. So what do I have on this side? X plus 4. And that is my second factor. So what I'm saying is that this quadratic function is going to be equal to what I get out of x plus 8 times x plus 4. How we do that? Using our box method or lattice method. So I have x plus 8 multiplying x plus 4. So what is x times x? That's x to the second power. Then here I'm going to do x times 4, 4x, positive 4x. Positive 8 times x is positive 8x. Then at last I have positive 8 times positive 4, positive 32. So now I'm just going to add my boxes. I have an x to the second power plus 4x plus 8x plus 32. So my final answer is my x to the second power. And then I know that these two are like terms that they're going to combine into positive 12x. 4x plus 8x equals 12x. And then at last the 32. This right here, the result of this multiplication, is the actual equation of my quadratic graph. So here we have our question. Which function is best represented by the graph of h? This is the graph that we're talking about, which is a quadratic function. And what they are asking is which one of these equations will actually describe this quadratic function. So as we said before, we are going to start by focusing on the zeros. This zero, or this x-intercept, rocks, roots, zeros, solutions, x-intercept, and this one right here. So I know that my first one is this one right here. And in here, x equals negative 1. That tells me that that's my solution. So I will write x equals negative 1. Now, as I said in the example, we're going to make this equal to 0. How will we do that? Well, the only way that I make a negative 1, 0 is by added 1. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. This will give me x plus 1 equals 0. That is important because this tells me that my first factor is going to be x plus 1. Then I'm going to do exactly the same with the second 0 or x-intercept. In this case, x equals 2. So I'm going to write x equals 2. And just like before, I need to make this equal to 0. Now, how do I make a 2 equal to 0? I took away 2. But what I do to one side, I do to the other. So this tells me x minus 2 equals 0. And that tells me my second factor, which is x minus 2. So I know that this equation is going to be the result of me multiplying x plus 1 times x minus 2. Now, how do we do that? Well, we're going to use our box method or lattice. So we're going to draw a box with a 2 by 2. Now, my first factor is x plus 1. And that's going to be multiplying an x minus 2. So in the first box, I have x times x. That'll give me x to the second power. Then I have an x times negative 2. That's negative 2x. And then I have a 1 times x, which is just plus x. And then at last, I have a 1 times negative 2. Negative 2. So all that I'm going to do now is write all of my answers. X to the second power minus 2x plus x minus 2. Then the x to the second power stays the same, but then I notice that those two are like terms. And negative 2x plus x is negative x. And then at last, minus 2. So my answer is x to the second power minus x minus 2. In this case, the answer is B. X to the second power minus x minus 2. What did we do today? Today, we found the function of a quadratic function graph by first identifying the roots, zeros, or x-intercepts or solutions of the quadratic function. Then, we use these rocks, roots, zeros, x-intercepts, or solutions to find the factors. And lastly, we multiply the factors to obtain the quadratic function. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this episode. See you next time.